Hi, this is Jay Greenspan. I'm doing some blogging for PokerWire for the World Series of Poker, covering the 50K horse event. And I thought for today I'd give a little representation of what I saw at the table of the 50K horse event during the limit hold'em round. One of the things that many of the pros have talked about as I've talked to them through the series is how poorly many people play limit hold'em. And one of the things that people have just never do is they just don't defend their blinds. They're treating it like no limit when you're facing a raise out of the button or something and you have a pretty trashy hand. Well, you're probably just better off getting rid of it because the odds aren't so great for you, and what are you going to do on the flop? Limit hold'em is an entirely different ball game. If you're looking at one raise, you're getting 3.5 to 1 to make the call, which makes justifying a call from the blinds, it makes it justifiable in many, in fact, most situations. And in today's table that I watched the ESPN featured table for the 50K horse. We had a star-studded field, as you'll see in the representation on the screen. There was Anand Filippi, Mike Matusow, Dewey Tomko, Bruno Fitoussi, Justin Bonomo, and Greg Raymer. I mean, a great lineup. So you could expect some very good limit play here. And one thing that you saw a lot of was very aggressive play out of the blinds, people defending and really trying to make the most out of their blind play when they already had money in the pot. So let's look at a few hands that went down. I've recorded these as accurately as I could. Note that the very hard to keep track of the stack sizes as a spectator. So I've done my best to estimate. So let's look at this first hand. The blinds are 13,000 and 25,000. Some of the stacks are huge. Bruno's got well over 1.2 million, and the others are in the 400. Amnon's got almost 2 million. The others are around 400,000 or 500,000. Again, my numbers are not going to be exactly right, but in this case, Justin Bonomo's got the button. Greg Raymer's in the small blind of 13, and Amnon's in the big blind with 25,000. As you see here, Amnon starts with the 4-7 of diamonds. So let's step through the hand, and we see that Mike and Dewey and then Bruno fold, and then Justin raises on the button. Greg Raymer folds from the small blind, and Amnon defends. Okay, so the flop is 7-5 deuce. So now Amnon's looking very happy about this. He checks. He checks his hand, and then Justin bets. It's sort of a continuation bet. No surprise here. Amnon raises to 50,000. Justin calls. So look at this. He makes trips on the turn. Works out very nicely. He bets and it's called. And then on the river, we've got another bet and another call. So here we see Amnon takes Justin didn't show here, but you see we've got a real nice pot for Amnon, and it's something where, yes, he may have missed, and if there was paint on the board, he would have given it up, but he would have only lost one small bet. Whereas look at all he can win if he hits. It's one of these situations where limit is very different than no limit. Let's look at another hand that came up. Again, we have Justin. This is a round or two later. Again, Justin is on the button, and Amnon is in the big blind. Dewey Tomko, who is very short at this point, raised from, we were only six-handed, so he raised in second position. It's folded around to Amnon, who again isn't letting go here. Queen 5 is pretty raggy and Dewey's pretty tight, but still Amnon's holding on to this hand. He hits second pair on the flop. Now, this is one of these things where second pair you want to be really careful in no limit, but in limit, depending on how the board looks, it's probably well worth playing. And here we see that, given how short Dewey is, that there's probably very little Amnon can do to get rid of the hand. He's probably just gotta hope that it works out and that he eliminates Dewey. But here it didn't work out, and Dewey was able to double up and move on. Okay, so let's look at another hand here. This one's kind of interesting. We have Amnon on the button and Mike in the small blind, Dewey Tomko in the big blind. It's folded to Raymer, who raises to 50,000. Amnon calls 50,000 from the button. Now, this is something you don't see a lot of with these sorts of players. Generally, when there's a raise before them, you'll see that next person put in a re-raise. So that it's sort of you'd expect Amnon to, if he's going to play it for 75,000, but he just calls. Now look at the odds that Dewey's getting to call here. He's getting tremendous odds, 4.5 to 1 to make the call. So he's pretty well committed to calling there with just about anything. So the flop was 9 of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, 6 of hearts. Dewey bets. Greg puts out a continuation bet, which is again called. And then Dewey puts in a raise. And oddly enough, he got 2 folds. So there, playing from the big blind is absolutely really worked out well for him there. And here's a hand that's a short while later. We have Matusow on the button, Dewey Tomko in the small blind, and Bruno Fatuzzi in the big blind. Justin and Greg both fold. Mike raises on the button. We get a fold from the small blind, and then Bruno Fatuzzi calls in the big blind, again, defending his blind. Now we got a flop with a king 6-3. Okay, how's it going to go? Bruno checks, Mike bets, and Bruno raises. Now, at this point, Bruno can have anything from third pair to top pair. It's very, very hard to tell. This is something that you'll see a lot from very good players, is some very aggressive blind defense, and if they get a piece of it, they're going to stick with it for a while. And then we get a 3-bet from Mike, saying he's serious, he's got a hand that he's willing to go with. And at this point, Bruno thought for a while before folding. So that's just a little demonstration of some of what we saw today in the 13,000, 25,000 limit hold'em round from the World Series of Poker. For PokerWire.com, I'm Jay Greenspan.